Good evening. When you do square roots like this are not so complicated. And when I say like this is kind of straightforward. 8 times 8 is 64. The square root of 64 is 8. When you get ready to do the fourth root of 64, square root of 64, as we had done in a prior video, this is where the complication gets in, because this 4 means that they don't want to see the square root, they want to see the fourth root. So how many times can a number be multiplied 4 times to get to this? Okay, and would it be 16 times 4? You can start there, because 2 to the 4th power equals 16. So your answer can't just be 16, but you can do this. You can go 16 times 4, and then you can go 4 times 4, and you're beginning to see a pattern here. Okay, and then these 2's cancel out, they come outside the equation. And here's another thing you need to do. You're doing a cubed root, so this is 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. Okay, so when you get ready to do all of these 2's and you start taking out your cubed roots, this is one set of 4, one set of 4, one set of 4. Okay, so every 2, 4, 6, 8 if they were done in 2's, but they're not. They're asking you what possible number multiplied would this be? And we'll continue that on the next slide. Okay, so when you do the square root of 64, and keep in mind 16 times 4 is equal to 64, right? Because 4 times 1 is 4, 64. Okay, now here's a set of 2's right here in purple. Here's a set of 2's in blue. Here's a set of 2's. They're not asking you for 2's. They're asking you for 4 sets of whatever number can be multiplied to get to 64, where there isn't one. But you do have 3 sets out here. So these 3 sets become 1. And they go down here and become a 2. And because you don't have an extra, this becomes the square root of 2. So in and of itself, if you think about it, square roots are not hard. This equation here is asking you what is the cubed root of 125. So in other words, what number can be multiplied 3 times to get to 5? You look at it ends in 5. There's a rule that you teach children. If it ends in 5, probably something times 5 is divisible. And for those of us who forgot it, that's a rule we need to learn and remember, because that's how it works. Now watch this. Is 25 times 5 125? Well, yes, it is. 5 times 2 is 10, plus this is 12. Now, this is still under the bracket, so you have 5. It's the cubed root. You have 3 sets of 5. This comes out, and then this comes out, because 5 times 5 is 25. Times 5 equals 125. So your answer to this question is 5. So I'm going to write it up here. The cubed root of 125 equals 5. Okay? Don't think about this too hard, because if you think about it too hard, you're going to get it wrong. Okay, now we are now trying to find out, all of this is just stuff that's done. We're not going to do this here. We're not going to do this. We've already done those. This is a square root of 2 multiplied by 6. You don't have to take it out of the square root bracket right now, the radical sign. You just square root of 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. This is 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, what are we going to do? We need it 6 times. And 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to go ahead and cancel them out so that we get square root of 4, square root of 4, square root of 4. See how I did them in different colors? So that they all pair up to this equals 2, this equals 2, and this equals 2. Are we multiplying anything else? No, we're dividing. Are we going to add? No. So all of these now are square roots of 2's, and you have 3 sets of them. You have a 2 here. Sorry about my equal signs, guys. Oh boy. And you have a 2 here. So you have a 2 here. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So this answer is 8. If you try to think about what you're doing, the square root of 2 to the 6th power is 64. If you put a radical under that and you squared it, it would be 8. However your mind can think about it, but try to understand what's going on with the concepts, and try to understand that you can multiply the square root of 2 times square root of 2, and you get square root of 4 equals 2. You cannot always add unless it's a common base. That's what I started at the beginning, that unless it's a common base, you cannot do. Okay. Division is like multiplication, so let's go ahead out. If you see some common terms, you see the square root of 12 and you see the square root of 2. Square root of 6 times square root of 2. You cannot do anything until you have to break everything down under the radical sign. Square root of 6 times square root of 2, and you have square root of 2 by itself, so I just carried it on over here. Okay. Now you have this. A lot of people go ahead and cancel that out. That becomes 1, because once you're dividing, this can happen. But be very careful when you do that. Just know that you only did it on one side, and you still have the square root of 6. Okay, now some people say, yeah, but you have the square root of 3 times 2, but it's under the radical sign, and neither one of these can go back down because of y. These are prime numbers. So you can't really break your prime numbers down anymore except for 2 times 1. And there's no sense in taking it out, because the square root of 1 equals 1. And 1 times the number is itself. So there's really no sense to do that. You go ahead and you leave this answer as a square root of 6. Okay, now this is very interesting. A lot of students go ahead and just say, oh, this is a 3 here, so let's just go ahead and take it out. When you have this here and you have this radicand here, you are going to divide. You're going to divide. And you take the negative sign out of the bracket. In general, you do. If this was the 4th root of negative 64, you'd be okay if you left it in, because negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. Positive 16 times a negative 4 is going to give you a negative 64. And then when you take it again towards itself, you're going to get another negative 4, which would then turn this into 256. So this is what I basically said. If you have 4 times square root of 256, you'd be okay, because this is going to come out positive. Okay, so you could maybe not take it out only because it's a 4th root, or also only if it's a cubed root. But in general, when you have an odd root like this, you want to keep it in. You want to take it out automatically. Okay, so you have 9 times 3 is 27, but if we take care of the radicals as well, you took the negative out, and you have 9 times 3. This is 1 3, And I'm drawing them under 3 times 3, so you have 3 sets of 3. Isn't that what you need? Yes, because this is a 3. So you can take the 3 out. Okay, now you have 3. The negative was already taken out of the radical. You have 3 m's. They come out from under the radical. And you have how many? 6 n's, but you need 3. So it's 2 groups of them. And that's why you have your answer here, n2. And I'm going to write it over here too, so maybe you can look at it. That's an n, believe it or not, to the 2, to the second power. Okay, so there you go. We don't have a negative sign, so all you have to do is start thinking about what's happening. Once again, it is divisible by 5. So probably your answer is going to be 5. And on this slide, I went ahead and put the answer out before. And then we're going to go back and decode and look at how we got that answer. Okay, now you would be dividing here. This is to the 4th power. You'd put the 4 under here and the 4 under here. Already you should see something that's very common. When you put the 4 over here, isn't 8 divided by 4 2? Yes, it is. So that's x to the 2. Isn't for the value of y 28 divided by 4, isn't that 7? Yes, it is. So it's y to the 7th. And guess what? 5 3 times is going to give you 600. 5 4 times is going to give you 625, because what's going on? 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is what? I did it over here already. Is 125. And then times another 5 is going to give you 5. Carry a 2. 12. Carry a 1. It's going to give you 625. That's a 6, by the way. Okay, so not really hard stuff. And there's your answer. You have 4 sets of 5s. So you can take 5 out, and you have 8 divided by 4 gives you x to the second power. x8 divided by 4 gives you x to the second power. Y28 divided by 4 gives you y to the 7th. And there's your answer. Okay, now this one is a horror story. 49 squared is 2,401, but you need the 6th value. What are you doing here? When you do this, you're going to take this apart. And you see a commonality because 7 times 7 is 49. So try to keep something common. You can't take 2 into it evenly. You can't take 3 into it evenly. So this would be what? 343 times 7. Do your math. I'm going to do it with you. 343 times 7. 1, carry my 2 is 0. Carry my 3, 21 plus 3 is 24. Okay, now you want the 6th root. Let's finish this horror story. Okay, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So you would have the cubed root if you just kept it simple. But if you wanted to see what you could do, if you try to do all these 7s, you have a group of 7 here, that's 1. You have a group here, that's 2. These 2 give you 49. You took away the second value. Six divided by 2 is 3. And there's your answer. Any questions, we're at jacobitslearning@gmail.com.